Well, now I want to turn to our next segment, which is O-scale or O-gauge high rail uh, modeling. Dennis Brennan is the host for this, and our sponsor is Millhouse River Studio.
Millhouse River Studio builds model train working accessories that are made to last generations. Millhouse River products are built out of aluminum and have scale brass details that even the most demanding scale modeler will appreciate. Since our industry entry in 2009 with the introduction of our flagship turntable, Millhouse River has continued to add new, innovative products, like our scale transfer table, rotary coal dumper, flood coaling tower and, most recently, a working conveyor that transports coal from the dumper to the loader. All of Millhouse River Studio's stunningly realistic products are currently available in O-scale. We are adding new scales on some products, including the upcoming release of an O-scale turntable featuring our aluminum construction and stunning brass details that is big enough to handle a big boy locomotive. When it comes to your layout, don't settle for less, get Millhouse River Studio.
Well, thank you so much, Al. I really appreciate your sponsorship. And let's turn to Dennis, who is the host for this segment. Dennis, welcome.
All right, so tonight I'm going to talk about a Plasticville switch tower. Don't overlook Plasticville just because it's something from your youth. Plasticville makes some pretty credible models. Not all of them, but a few of them are really nice. And the switch tower is one that I think is a little gem, and I think maybe often overlooked by some people. So here we go. Okay, this is my version of the switch tower. I originally wrote an article on classic toy trains years ago. One of the first kit bashes I ever did. And it's actually not a kit bash, it's a kit enhancement. Some of the changes that I did, the stairway, I added a stringer to the stairway. I added these supports, and I added these diagonal braces. I added these little concrete pedestals to support the wooden 4x4s, and we'll talk about how we did all that. So the first thing I did was I plugged up, there's a little hole. They always have a little hole in these Plasticville buildings. And I think that's probably for lighting, maybe. I have no idea. Anyway, I plugged it up with a piece of evergreen styrene. I think it was 060 by, I don't know, what was that? 060 by 250. I added a piece in the back, and then I plugged the hole with another piece in front, and I left it a little bit long, stuck it in there, glued it, and then I just sawed it off. And then I sanded the whole thing, even though the pieces fit exactly and plugged the hole. If you sand it a little bit, I didn't need to use any squadron putty or anything else. It worked just fine. When I added this piece under the deck, because it didn't have any support, and you can see over here, you can see the stringer. Okay, that stringer is not right. I mean, that's just the steps. You need a stringer for that. So we fixed that one too. Let's see if I can get there. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so in order to add the stringer, I had to figure out what the angle was, and I just used graph paper. And I laid this thing out on graph paper, drew lines, and then I just laid the piece of the stringer down, which was, again, this was a piece of styrene, flat styrene that was, I think it was a 1x12 or a 1x6 that I used for that one. And then, see, that's what I did. I just laid it in there, and with the lines drawn, it was easy to cut the angles, and then I just glued it onto the side. Pretty simple. And that's what it looks like when it was finished. And then I added these pieces. Again, these were 4x4s. Okay, evergreen styrene 4x4. And I added, I used the same piece down here so that they would be the same, on the same plane when I went to glue them. This is just a support. And you can see the original. This is what it all looked like. Then I added, I scraped the platform, the wooden platform with a razor saw, and I sprayed it gray primer. I used a razor saw on it, and then I went over it with Minwax stain, American walnut, to get that look. And then I scraped it again a little bit just to make it look a little bit more weathered. I did the same thing with the stairway. And we'll go back here now. I should talk about, let's see if I can get back here. Here we go. I colored this with 2 shades of green. One was Pullman green, and the other was Depot Olive, I believe. And I sprayed the light color. I sprayed the whole thing the light color first, and then I brush painted the bark trim. And the other thing about this building is that there's no glazing in any of the Plasticville structures. So I used a piece of clear styrene. But the details on this are really nice. I mean, you've got a nice 5-panel doors. You've got clapboard siding and a lot of vertical and horizontal trim. And that's very typical of like an late 1800s switch tower. And I weathered the stack on top a little bit. I also added a light. You can't see it, but there's a little light over the doorway, and it lights. It's actually it was back before LEDs were actually usable. So, oh yeah, I can see it now. It's just behind the guy's head. It's right there behind his head. Anyway, I think that's about it. You can see that that building looks as good as anything else. So I think that'll do it.
Well, Dennis, I can't thank you enough for doing this, because I agree with you. I think that, for the cost that you got in it and everything, that would go on just about any layout that I've ever seen. So thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, you're welcome. If anybody has any, needs any specifics, just email me. I have a list of parts and everything else that I used in that. So, all right, thanks guys. And we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. And until then, you be safe traveling, and good luck building that layout in Florida.